welcome back, everybody, to another episode of the Offsides Podcast, World Cup Edition. I am your host, Andres Robledo, and as always, I am joined by my co-host, Pablo Robledo. Pablo, how's it going? You enjoying the finale of the World Cup?
Yep, pretty good final. Probably one of the best I've ever seen in a while.
Yeah, have to agree with that. That's the most exciting final I can remember. Best one, yeah, I agree. Best one I've seen. So it's been a little while since we did an episode. We got kind of busy in the midst of everything. But last we talked, we covered the round of 16 and we're leading into the quarterfinals. Let's start there with the first quarterfinal of the match, which I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, was Croatia versus Brazil. What did you think of that match?
I thought Brazil was gonna go through. I thought
Yeah,
Croatia was gonna get knocked out. Just on the fact that Brazil um handled who was it, South Korea? Um,
it
was it those?
was. Yes, South
Yeah,
Korea,
yeah,
4-1.
South Korea. Um, they beat them like to a pulp. Just
Yeah.
the team looked strong, fast, in complete control the whole time. Um, and then, you know, I guess Croatia is just a better defensive team, held out to the very end. I did see where like Brazil has scored, and then like towards the end of the match, Croatia tied it up. I was like, oh man, like if it goes to PKs, like Croatia could pull through.
Yeah, and it was very reminiscent of like their 2018 run where like I think pretty much every game that they played in the knockout stages was in extra time or went to PKs. So it was a position that like Croatia was very familiar with.
Yeah, yeah, and they probably felt comfortable um, going into PKs. Um, and still, like even when I went to PKs, I was surprised that Brazil uh, didn't make as many as Croatia. So another surprise uh, mismatch there. I think that's one that we predicted wrong
One
out of
of
many.
many, yeah. No, but I think for me, that was something I took away from this World Cup was like how good a lot of these goalies have become, or like how much they've stepped up this tournament. I think if I'm not misremembering, the Croatian keeper, I think blocked two, I believe, or so. Like he played a
Think so.
huge part of it, and that was something we saw from a lot of different keepers, um, all throughout the tournament. Like I think Morocco had a good keeper as well, I believe. Obviously,
Is that
Argentina's
right?
keeper. Yeah, we'll get to why you think that. Um, so yeah, like just big performances from goalkeepers all tournament. That was like one of the big takeaways I had was just like how big each nation's goalkeeper really stepped up. But
Yeah. I also like I thought some of the PKs that like just now it seems like some of them try to get tricky or like just soft placement, whereas before like players used to like full on run blast it in.
yeah, we'll touch on where that can sometimes go wrong, right? Via Harry Kane. Um, but yeah, the first quarterfinal match led to a huge upset. I mean, Brazil was one of the favorites to go to the final, so man, I knew we were in for a treat. And then another match of the day, Netherlands versus Argentina. The game ended 2-2, and Argentina went on to win in penalties. Another match prediction that I thought or that I got wrong. Yeah,
Yeah.
tell me about that game a little bit.
Um I think going into it we figured Netherlands was probably a little bit of a stronger team, just how they played against the US and how Argentina kind of struggled against Australia.
Yeah,
With only, coming out with like a 2-1 victory where we thought it might have been more, whereas Netherlands easily handled the US. Um, Very physical game for sure.
Most
Uh,
yellow cards ever in the World Cup
y-
tournament.
yep, yeah, especially there towards the end. That tussle at the end between the defenders. Um, there's that one video circulating where the Netherlands. What's the guy's name? Forget who he plays for. The tall guy.
Van Dyke.
Yes, uh-huh, and just, like, straight shoved one of the Argentina guys, and, like, he flew, like, 3 or 4 feet. I don't know if you saw that or not.
No, I did not see that, but
Oh, no? Yeah,
no.
but it was just a lot of back and forth physical. You could probably catch a YouTube video somewhere. It's all over the place.
Yeah.
But it was like the Argentina guy just threw the leg up, and then the ball got kicked into the bench side of the Netherlands, and then the defender just comes and shoves him, and he just goes flying. And I thought I was like, oh man, like red, here comes the red, and nothing. Like I don't know if we saw any reds in this tournament.
Not that I can think of.
Not me either. Just a
There,
lot of
yeah.
yellows.
No headbutts or biting for sure.
That's too bad.
Yeah. But yeah, so obviously Argentina won that game, pulled through a little bit of a foreshadow of what was to come, but they
Yep.
just kept seeming to, yeah, at this point of the tournament, kind of scrape by every round. Which, hey, you know what? Sometimes that's what you got to do. And then
Yeah.
the next day, another two exciting matches. The third wrong match prediction on my end. We had
Oh yeah.
Morocco versus Portugal. I don't think anyone saw this coming. Um,
No.
Morocco pull out a historic 1-0 win over Portugal. To be fair, like I didn't think Portugal was playing that well in the tournament, but I also just did not know anything of this Morocco team. But man, they made history and secured their way to the semis for becoming the first African team to ever do so. I know you are a big Ronaldo fanboy. How did you feel after seeing your Kings last World Cup match?
That was kind of a sad moment, honestly. It was like I feel like he didn't get used up to his full potential. Um, I mean, the guy has been so crucial to Portugal international play for so long, and then for them to like not start him, not use him, um, it just it felt he felt I feel like he got robbed out of match play. Um,
But
I don't know what his future looks like.
do you think he really looked like that impressive like during the group stages?
I
Uh,
think he did all right. I think he contributed fine. I think Portugal as a whole, up until the quarterfinals, um, played better or had better results than like Argentina did. Just because like they didn't lose, they lost one game in the group stage, but it didn't really matter by then because they were already through. They easily defeated the Swedish. Was it the? So yeah, the Switzerland. And then this one, I don't know. I guess similar to Croatia, Morocco is just defensive heavy, and it caught him by surprise. But I don't know. To me, Mar- like Ronaldo's not just another guy. Like he can have off games, but he's still very crucial. Um,
yeah, I
I know
don't.
some people like justify it with, well, look what they did against Switzerland, but it was like, okay, but he's done more than that.
Yeah,
I don't know. It just feels like they should have played him every minute. I think it was just bad coaching. Um, that's all I really got to say on that one, though.
yeah. For me, like this tournament, and I guess it's because I haven't watched him play for Man United any. But this tournament was like the first time I've watched Ronaldo play and have really seen his like age catch up to him. Whereas,
Yeah,
like, he did not look like Ronaldo to me, or just
no,
the way I've always had him in my head. And I'm not even
yeah,
really
like
a
he
fan of
wasn't
the
getting
guy.
by guys, right? Like he wasn't getting by guys. He wasn't taking real good strong shots. I think he had I'm not even sure if he had a free kick or not, but if he did, I don't think he made it. Um,
He had the penalty.
right. Yeah, he had that.
But
Um,
it's interesting you
but
say
like,
like he's so key to like Portugal's like international play when historically he hasn't really done anything at the World Cup. No knockout goals. I think he's had 6 goals over 5 tournaments and or maybe 7, something like that. But I know like 6 of them were from 2 tournaments.
hmm
Um, so it's not like he's a big producer when it came to the World Cup. Obviously, the Euros are a different thing. He, definitely led them to uh, that Euro Championship in 2016, I believe it was.
right.
So he's, definitely has some international credit to his belt. But yeah, for me, I mean, it's uh, it's a sad way to see him go out.
Yeah, I mean,
Unfortunately.
like, I get what you're saying. Like, he doesn't have. Um, I mean, he does. We're just probably not highlighting on it enough as far as like what he has done for the international team. But still, like, he's such a big player. Like, he can make such a big difference. Um, he's not just like another guy. He's not like a Nani or I don't even know. But I think the thing also is Portugal was as far as international and against who they're competing. I don't think is that strong.
Yeah.
Uh, like I thought they were gonna get by Morocco, and the real test was gonna be against France, which I did not see them getting by. I said, hey, if they can beat France, then they have a real shot in the final.
Yeah.
Um, but Morocco, it was the giant killers,
Yep. Yeah.
and put that to the end.
And then one last thing I wanted to talk about for this game, Morocco, at least to us, like not a great footballing nation, historically have not been like a powerhouse team. And even,
hmm
the team today, like, you got one guy who plays for PSG, one guy who plays for Chelsea, and even the guy who plays for Chelsea is not like a key player. He's kind of more of like a squad rotation type player. Caleb Adams, one of the writers for Charlotte FC, made a good point that I thought was interesting. I'd love to get your thoughts on it. Was that like Morocco's performance at this tournament should be like the goal of the U.S. Like the U.S. should try to emulate what Morocco has done, um, because like it's not like they have a ton of like talent, but they're getting the most out of it through like good coaching, good tactics, and at a similar talent level too. Like you've got a few guys playing at big European clubs, especially like the U.S. You got guys playing in City Off or Juventus and AC Milan. You've got Pulisic
Right.
playing at Chelsea. Matt Turner's backup goalie at Arsenal. So like you've got guys at these big clubs. I mean, what do you think of that? Is that something that you think is like a realistic um, kind of comparison, or do you think that that is what the U.S. should be trying to
I think
emulate? Or
I think as far as like Morocco, they probably have more players playing at these big clubs than the US do. And I think that all goes to how deeply rooted probably they are in soccer more so than the US players. Um, I think it's also like, you know, s- soccer is still not at that level in the US,
mm-hmm.
where like you see kids start from the youth and like and take it all the way get to these club levels or you know what I mean, like they just start him young and put him in the academies and then the under 18s and under 21 things like that.
Yeah,
Those youth leagues I don't think is deeply rooted in the culture, um, as it is in like these other countries like Brazil, Argentina, England. That's why they're like the heavy favorites because like I get England and France and have all these other sports, but like Brazil, you know, a lot of these kids, that's all they play. Like you just got a ball and you got something a made shift goal, and you're just out there playing in the street, and that's all you do.
yeah,
Um, whereas here, it's like I don't see it. It's more of like a pay to play. You gotta sign. You gotta have the money to go to like these club teams or travel travel teams. Um, because if you don't, then you can't play. And I think the US is missing out on some on talent with that.
Yeah, I agree. I think that is a big problem here in the US that isn't gonna solve itself anytime soon or very easily,
Right.
unfortunately. But uh,
Yeah, I don't think like I mean, I hate to say it as much as I like the rooting for them, but I don't think they'll ever be like a heavy favorite in the near future, especially not in the next World Cup.
yeah, yeah. I mean, I definitely don't think they'll win the next World Cup. But I think making it to the quarters is like a very reasonable goal. Like
Yeah.
I think that should be the goal for this next cycle, especially with the crop of players we have now. And like, they got to the round of 16 after not being in a World Cup for the first time in a long time. And they did it with
Mhm.
like a very young set of players. Like most of all of them were under like 26 years old, with the exception of like a few guys. So going to this next World Cup, like a lot of those guys are going to be in their prime, like 4 years of development. So I think with like the right coach and stuff, like I think they should definitely make it past the round of 16. Like they need to improve on this World Cup result.
Yeah. Yeah, but that's the other thing is like the US, like you just said, they have very young players, and there's still a lot of room for growth there. So if we can make it to quarters or semis, that would be, amazing.
Yeah. So then moving on, the probably the game of the quarterfinals, at least for me, this is the one I had been wanting to see, was England versus France. Two
Mhm.
teams that could have. I think if you would have said these two are going to be in the final, that would not be hard to believe, and we got to see it in the quarterfinals.
Right.
Um, I thought this was probably at the time the game of the tournament. I mean, very back and forth. Uh,
Yeah.
England had really dominated on the ball, but France just, can attack you and score a goal out of nowhere. And that's pretty much how they got their first goal. And just, man, this game was awesome to see. Definitely one to be remembered. What did you think of the match?
Oh, man, I fell asleep watching this match. Uh,
I
I had
guess.
to work that earlier in that day, and then I got home and I put the match on, and I fell asleep with it in the background, so I didn't get to see too much of it. I woke up to, like, the end result,
Hmm.
but I will say it was a real nice nap with that background noise. Not
Yeah.
nothing like an old man nap with some soccer in the background. Chef's
Yeah.
kiss. Highly recommend.
Well, yeah, I did watch all of it. It was a crazy match. I mean, just England just couldn't, get that final ball to go in. And then
Right.
towards the end of the game, I believe in the 80th minute or 80 something minute, they get a second PK. So you're thinking like, all right, Harry Kane made the first PK. Here's like basically a last chance to like tie it up and get into extra time. And it's an interesting scenario, right? Hugo Lloris, the goalkeeper for France, that's Harry Kane's, teammate at Tottenham, so they know each other very well. They probably practice these PKs on each other all the time. He
Right.
had already made one on him, and so you could tell like Kane must have felt that that goal was real small. That like any thought he'd have of like, oh, I'll go to my same corner because he's gonna think I'm gonna switch it up this time, or I'm gonna switch it up this time because I always go to the left, or whatever. You could tell he was playing through all those scenarios, and he just I guess felt that pressure and was like, I have to just put it in the top corner. That's the only way I'm gonna make it, and just skies it. I mean, just totally misses. What do you think of that decision of like having him take a second PK against the team? Like, do you think he should have given it up to someone else on the team, or what would you have done in that situation?
No, I mean, I think probably everybody else in the team thought so too. Like, if anybody's gonna take the tie and score, if anybody's gonna tie it up, it's gonna be Harry Kane. Um, I'm sure everybody was just like, "He's gonna make it," because why wouldn't he?
Yeah.
Um, I it goes to show you, like, PKs are not that easy, it's a lot of mental games too, and it's like, not only do you gotta, like, psych the other guy out, but you also gotta keep your own mental composure, um, and you
Yeah.
saw it, like, he made one, but then he blasted the other one, like, way over,
Yeah,
like,
I think,
way
like,
over.
when people see PKs on paper, it's like, "Oh, you're only 12 yards out." The goal is, I think a goal is what, 8 feet wide or something, and or is it 10 feet
Mhm.
wide and 8 feet tall, something like that. Like, you're like, "Oh, you've got plenty of room to make it." But then when you factor in, like, you've got 100,000 people yelling,
Yeah,
uh, you've you're a professional, so teams have seen you do this, hundreds of times probably, or
yeah.
maybe not hundreds, but
I mean, you got
multiple
the
dozens of
whole
times. They've studied you on tape, just the same way
Mhm.
like an NFL defense studies an offense. So that goalkeeper, like, he has seen your tendencies, like that gets in your head of like, yes, you have a routine, but how often have they watched you do that routine? Like,
Right.
you
And
know,
like you said, that's his, teammate, so
yeah.
he
So you
knows him,
amplify that even more.
exactly. And you got the whole pressure of, your nation is on your shoulders. You gotta make this so you can, go to the extra time.
Yeah.
It's a lot of pressure, and you're on the world stage, so
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
mean, I can't be mad at the guy for missing, um, but I think also it's, France. I think France felt very in control, um, this whole World Cup, and this one and Argentina was probably their toughest matches out of the whole, cup.
Yeah, I
I
have to
think
agree.
everybody else was just a cakewalk.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I felt like they definitely had the easier side of the bracket going in everything besides this match. But
Yeah.
yeah. So that was a crazy ending, but this England team is definitely one that is, this crop of players that they have now, like, they need to win something, because this is kind of similar to like when we were younger. They had, Frank Lampard, Gerrard, Rooney, Ferdinand, Terry, like Ashley Cole. They had that group of players, and they were such a strong group of players, but they just never won anything. And like, this is
Yeah.
they're kind of like in a similar boat now, where they have like this crop of players that are just some of the best in the world of their respective positions, and it's like, if you're gonna win anything, like, now's the time.
Right.
So I definitely expect them to be heavy favorites at the next Euros and the next World Cup.
Yeah. That's gonna be another game to look forward to once, they play the US, 'cause similar situation where, like, they have a young squad and, they tied it up in the previous match. So, you gotta have a winner in the next one. You need some bragging rights.
Yeah, I'd love for them to play each other in the group stage again, like in Atlanta or something. That would be a perfect scenario.
Yep, yep, start saving up your money now. Gonna
Absolutely,
go
yeah.
catch a match there.
Yeah. All right, so then that takes us to the semifinals. And again, I thought definitely the tougher test for Argentina against Croatia, who, a team who was in the same situation last World Cup semifinals. And they had beat Argentina before in the group stages last World
Mhm.
Cup, so like a foe they were familiar with. And, to me, it was like, this Croatia team is, they know how to beat teams, and this Argentina team is like barely beating teams. But this was the first performance, at least for me, that Argentina had actually looked like dangerous and looked
Right.
very put together and very good, especially Alvarez, Julian Alvarez. I thought this was like a big breakout game for him, and they just comfortably beat Croatia 3-0. They were in control the whole time. Um, just total different performance than the rest of the World Cup, I thought, leading up to this match.
Yeah, yeah, I was surprised that it came out 3-0. I thought it was gonna be much closer than that, just 'cause, like, both Argentina and Croatia seem to, be pretty even. They both kind of have scraped by, just enough to like advance. I figured if Argentina could make it like a 2-1 game, um, and I thought the only chance that Argentina might have or Croatia would have is if they took it to PKs again.
Yeah, that was similar train of thought for me. It was like if Croatia
Yeah,
can make this go the distance, they have the advantage there. But I think
but
Argentina
now,
just took care of business.
yeah, and looking at Argentina's goalie now with like all the saves that he made throughout this tournament, I don't know if Croatia would have made it past PKs against
Yeah,
Argentina.
that's very
It's just
true. Yeah, that's definitely someone we'll definitely have to highlight a bit more. But the only question I have after this match for you is where does Luka Modric fall on your list of like greatest ever players, greatest ever center mids? Like, how does he compare to like Zinedine Zidane, Kaká, Andres Iniesta, Xavi? Because to me,
ooh,
I think for he's 37 years old. He carried his country to a second place finish in 2018. Now a third place
right.
finish. He's got 5 Champions League trophies, and he's still like the main playmaker at Real Madrid. Like to me, after the career he's had and how he's still doing it, like he is the greatest center mid to ever play the game, and probably one of the top 10 best players to ever play. That's where I see Modric after this tournament.
Yeah, I mean, putting him up there next to Zidane, that's a bit of a reach just because Zidane, um, do they yeah, they have he's got a World Cup trophy, right?
He's got one, and he's got one second
Right.
place,
Yeah.
but I think he only has 2 or 3 Champions League trophies. And Modric's
Yeah,
got,
but I
and
think
not
also
only
at the
does
time,
Modric
like
have 5 at you know what might be considered the most competitive European soccer's ever been. He's also the only player to win a Ballon d'Or, um, at the height of Messi and Ronaldo's powers. When they were
oh,
just
wow.
going back and forth, he was able to get one in 2018. So I think you have to factor that in too.
Yeah, I think that's one guy that gets overshadowed between, Messi and Ronaldo going back at it. So, him and Ibrahimovic, like those guys definitely got overshadowed. But at the same time, like, you know, they weren't putting up sure they had the trophies, but they didn't have the goals or the assists, I don't think, in some of those seasons. They gotta pump those numbers up. But he's probably up there with like a Xavi, somebody like that. I don't know about Zidane.
Man, I
Um,
don't know. I think he's
but but I
and
think
I'm a
Modric gets
big
looked over
Xavi and
quite a bit.
yeah, I'm a big Xavi and Iniesta fan, but I think
Right.
he is above those guys just for how long he's done it, what he's accomplished. Like I don't know. I think
Yeah.
he's got to be considered up there.
Yeah. I mean, he just doesn't get talked about enough. His number, he's got the trophies to prove it, and he's probably got the stats. He just doesn't have the media attention that the other two guys draw. It's either like Team Ronaldo or Team Messi. There's
Yeah,
there's no
I mean
Team Modric.
since 2008, only Messi and Ronaldo have won the Ballon d'Or. Besides 2018 when Modric took it.
Right. I give him props though. I mean, I'm not hating on the guy. He definitely deserves it. And it was, I'm happy he came away with it. Third place win.
Yeah,
Um, you know, uh, he made it further than Ronaldo. So there's
yeah,
that.
yeah,
Um, but still, it's tough. He's up there. He's up there for sure.
yeah, yeah. He's on the Mount Rushmore of center mids for sure. Um,
Yeah.
and so then we get France comfortably beating Morocco 2-0.
Yeah. I mean, I think everybody knew that was coming.
Yeah, but you know what? Again, like historic result for Morocco, first African country to ever make to the semifinals. and
Yep.
kept it respectable. Um, like good tournament result for them, and a good fourth place finish. Very, very, very cool.
Will be interesting to see if they make it that far again next time around.
Yeah, yeah, something to keep an eye on for sure. Third place match, Croatia beats Morocco 2-1. That's kind of
The
the
one game nobody
yeah, I was
watches.
gonna say it's kind of the teaser or the appetizer for the main course. And now we this past Sunday, yesterday, December 18th, we get to I think what will go down in history as the best World Cup final ever. Definitely the last 10 years for me, at least. Um, Argentina versus France. Definitely a pairing people were uh, could have predicted. Um, what were you thinking going into the lead up of this match? Like, who were you rooting for? What were you expecting to see? How did you think it was going to play out?
I had mixed feelings about this matchup. Um, I want I wanted Messi to win just because of the sole reason that like he's the last guy of like our generation, like you and I grew up watching. There was Ronaldinho, Ronaldo, and they got the job done. And then like it was Messi and Ronaldo. And those two were like, you know, going back and forth with Ballon d'Ors, Champions League trophies, international trophies as far besides the World Cup. Um, like all kinds of crazy stats as far as goals, assists, all you know, back and forth and like who's the best. And this was their last World Cup. Modric was out, Ronaldo's out, Ochoa's out, Bales is out. It's like all these guys we grew up watching are getting picked off one by one, and then there's still Messi. So
Yeah,
that's like the whole reason I wanted Messi to win. I didn't really want Argentina to win. I
I was
just
gonna
wanted
yeah.
Messi to win
I was gonna
it.
say, yeah. I was like, I wasn't really cheering for Argentina. I was like, if there's any way Messi could win and Argentina
Yeah.
lose, I would take that. Um,
Right.
but yeah, I mean, you just look at
But at
what
this
he's accomplished, and it's
mhm,
hard not to want to see him finish with the World Cup. Like the World Cup is the trophy to have. I think any
exactly.
professional soccer player would tell you that. Uh,
And the whole debate about who's better, like they were so even keeled the whole time, like their whole career. They had just been so um right at each other's levels where like, Messi fans could argue all kinds of stats about why Messi is the best and same for Ronaldo. And the one key difference was neither of them had the World Cup and it was like whoever got to it first. And now, it's Messi's the only one left of all the guys. He's the only one left. And now
yeah,
he's at the final. Now France throughout the tournament looked strong. They
they
looked
kind
like they were
of
gonna
they
I mean, I think I said it several times. I was like, France is going to the final. Like these guys are fast, they're strong, and they're just doing whatever they want on the field.
yeah. And it's interesting too because, like you said, you're seeing Messi in the twilight of his career. Like you want him to accomplish this like one last thing to kind of like
Yeah,
finish the story, like finish the tale of Messi. And on the other hand, you've got Mbappe,
right.
who
It's
could
coming up on
easily
number two.
become the next greatest player of all time, right? He could easily
Oh yeah.
surpass Messi because he already has the World Cup. And now he's
Mm-hmm.
got the record for most goals in World Cup. Also,
Yep.
we'll get to that. Um, and so you got that too of like, well, if this guy wins a second World Cup, is he gonna be the greatest of all time? Like, that's such a young age. Like, it was just such a.
Right.
And again, there's also the history of like, no country has ever won it back to back in the last like
Mm-hmm.
60 years. I
And
think.
it was crazy is like for Mbappe to win it on his first time up at such a young age. I mean, and watching him throughout this tournament, like before this World Cup, I was not a fan of Mbappe. I thought he was just an overpaid French soccer player, um,
It kind of felt like it
crybaby.
was all hype of like he's he was getting all the money now for like what he could be. Like, yeah, he
Right,
could be the next Messi, Ronaldo, but he's already getting the
right,
money for it. Um,
exactly.
but
But
uh,
after this match, like I'm on board. I
yeah,
think I think he could lift another 2 World Cups.
that's a
And and
terrifying
I- and
thought.
I I'm go ahead and clip this, but I think he's at such a young age now, and athletes are able to maintain their athletic life longevity for so long now with like I don't know, I guess the science of it that he could compete, and as long as he's got like a good surrounding team or teammates, where I think his goal is to beat Pele.
Yeah,
Pele's got 3, he's already got 1, and he's a runner up the second time.
yeah,
Um, I mean, like this is just like ammunition for him.
yeah, and
So,
so
like, I'm on board for him becoming the next greatest. He just kind of, I don't know if he's trying to like bring the French soccer league more attention or what he's trying to do, but I feel like he's just wasting his talent over at PSG. Like he needs
yeah,
to hop over to Premier League or La Liga or something like that. Like I don't know what he's doing over in the French league.
just cashing checks, baby.
Yeah.
But no, so I think that brings up an interesting question, right? And this is something I posted online about, and maybe it's too early to talk about it, just because we're all still kind of celebrating Messi. But you know, Messi's 35, Mbappe I believe is 23, so he's got 12 years um, to essentially beat Messi's career.
Hmm.
He's already got the one World Cup. So what in your eyes, what would he have to do over the next 12 years to be considered greatest of all time?
Well, I would say he's got to get a couple of Ballon d'Ors. He's got to get some championship Champions League trophies. But then he's just all he really needs to do is get like another World Cup trophy, I think, and that would probably secure it.
So let me ask you
Um,
this: if
but at the
12
same time, like
years,
Messi and Ronaldo have so many like crazy stats, like just amount of goals and assists.
yeah,
Um,
I was gonna
that's
say like,
tough.
cause that's what I was gonna ask you next. Is like, if in over in 12 years, 12 years down the road, and Bob has finished his last game, and let's say his career is 2 Champions League titles, 2 Ballon
Hmm.
d'Ors, maybe 2 3 years of similar production as Messi Ronaldo's peak, and another
Right.
World Cup. Do you think that's enough to be like, yeah, he's the greatest that we've seen play, or do you think Messi would still be above that?
I don't know. I think if you're gonna overshadow Messi, you gotta beat his numbers.
Yeah,
I think that's the only way to truly do it.
I think that is a big
Um,
part of it. Besides just winning the
yeah,
trophies, you've got to
yeah. Another World Cup will help immensely, but you got to beat Messi's numbers. I mean,
like 90 goals in a year at least once.
yeah, yeah.
Because I mean, that's one of the records Messi holds is most goals in a calendar year, and it's like 90 something goals.
Jeez.
Um, and then I think most in a single season is like 40 something or something. Like, I don't know. I could some of those numbers seem wild, but I could be making them up. Maybe I'm not. I have no idea anymore. But yeah, I think it's got to be more than just win some trophies. I think he needs to have a couple of years of just like breaking some of these goal scoring records, or at least putting similar numbers up.
But and I don't, and that's why I think too. Like he just needs to leave PSG and hop over to these other leagues where he could probably do it.
Yeah, because
Um,
if he scores 100 goals in a year, that is going to be something people bring up. Is like, yeah, but it was like in League One. Like, who
right.
cares?
Now, if League One ever becomes like a competitive league, then maybe, but it's never been a league that gets talked about as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah. No, I
Uh,
agree. I agree.
it's
Um,
always been Premier League. Well, and yeah, in order of like importance for me, it's always been Premier League, La Liga, and then Series A, and that's
yeah.
it.
No,
And
I
everything
agree.
else is oh, and the Colombian league, and then everything else is garbage.
Besides
Oh, and then
MLS.
MLS.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, MLS. Sorry.
We are an MLS podcast.
Yeah, MLS just got up there.
Yeah. Um, no, I agree. I would like to see him make a move. I mean, we're probably not going to see that for a year or two.
Right.
Probably more on the two side than anything else. But yeah, I think if he goes and plays for a Barcelona or a Madrid and puts up some ridiculous numbers and wins a couple more trophies, like I think that's definitely going to be a fun debate to have in a couple years. Now the other side of that coin, we finally get to see Messi hoist that World Cup trophy. Uh,
Yeah.
if if you were watching on the state side, you probably only heard Stuart Holden and John Wood, I believe, who are the commentators for Fox Soccer. But do yourself a favor, go online and just listen to Peter Drury, his commentating, to the lead up of the kickoff and after Messi wins, and even just some of his commentating of Messi clips over the years. And the guy is like a poet, man. It'll definitely like just paint this fairy tale picture for you, this historic picture, this like Greek epic. It's better than a movie you could watch. It's just epic. So go do yourself a favor, look up Peter Drury's commentary. But let's jump into that match. I mean, what did it play out the way you thought? What were some big surprises for you, especially in that first half?
Um, the, honestly, yeah, the first half and like halfway through the second, I was very surprised at how well Argentina was playing, how in control of the ball and the match pace they were, um, how well they pressured the 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 French attackers, and how well their counterattacking worked for them. Um, I didn't think they were gonna start out like 2-0, and then, I think it was like halfway through the second half there, I was like, "Well, it's probably gonna end like this." But then I started thinking, I was like, "Well, they still got a good bit." So France just needs like one goal to get them back in this, like get their confidence up.
Yeah, and to
But
you know
at
to
the first
be
part of it, you know, I thought France was gonna come out strong, and I thought Argentina was gonna have to come from behind.
Yeah, the way I saw the match going was like Argentina's gonna have to like win on a counter or win on like a mistake from France. But the way they came out,
Right.
like they were beating France to every ball. As soon as they lost it, they got it right back and just kept possession, like built some beautiful attacks. Um, you know, and just like you said, like the first like 70, 75 minutes, like Argentina dominated. It was so one sided. But let's jump to that first goal, a PK from Dembele fouling Di Maria.
Mhm.
A lot of people have complaints about that PK, saying that, it was soft, it was, rigged for Argentina. What'd you think of it?
Well, the ball did say Leo on it, so I
Why don't you
don't know.
explain that a little bit for people who might not know?
When they changed the ball on when the semi started, and there's like a little writing on there. You could probably just like Google, the World Cup balls. And you can see on there. It's like a little Arabic writing, but it clearly says Leo. So rigged. No, but I thought it was a fair PK. I mean, I didn't think it needed to go to VAR, as some people were claiming. They showed the replay. I mean, it was it was a clear foul,
Yeah,
a
and
very clear foul. But
that's what I was
Argentina
gonna
has
say.
gotten some like soft calls for some of the PKs. I want to say like I think in the group stage, uh, Messi got a very soft PK. Like the goalkeeper went up to punch the ball, and he didn't even have like his hand clenched for a fist. It was just an open palm, and it like grazed Messi's face, and it was called a PK. I'm pretty sure Messi missed it.
Mm.
I could be wrong, um, but I don't think they were able to like get a goal out of it. But then a couple matches later, I saw the same thing happen with another team, and they don't get called. So I could see
Yeah.
why like some fans would say it was favored for them. Um,
So
but I don't know.
my thought on it is like I think some people think that like in the box it needs to be like a worse foul and it needs to be like more deliberate. But that's not the way like the rules are set out.
No.
The rule is
Mm-mm.
if you foul someone in the box, it's a PK. And just because
Yeah.
it's a World Cup final does not mean you get to be more lenient. Like it was a very stupid foul. It was a very I agree that it's like a light foul, but it's a foul. Like he tripped him
Yeah.
about from behind in the box. Like that's a
Yeah.
PK all day.
It was a same similar, if anything, more even more blatantly foul that Argentina had in the box. But it
Yeah,
was
yeah, I
still a
agree.
foul.
And then just to
I
the
mean,
point
fouls
of
in the
like
box are
the
PKs.
yeah, and to the just to bring up one other point real quick that I don't think got talked about a lot, but I actually thought the refing by the referee in the final was actually really good. I don't think it like disturbed the flow of the game any really. I thought it was pretty consistent. Like I didn't feel like he was favoring one team or the other. Like I mean, shoot, France got two PKs. So I
Right.
thought it was totally like fair. Like he went to VAR when he needed to, like called things. So I thought it was a really good official for the final. So good on FIFA for that. So yeah, so Messi steps up. Were you nervous at all that he was going to miss that opening PK and kind of, was that the fairy tale ending, the Greek epic was going to go in a more tragic route? Or
No,
were
no,
you confident he was going to just bury it?
no. I was pretty confident Messi was going to bury it. I've seen Messi take PKs over and over again. And he's got a very powerful shot. And I mean, we saw actually, you know what? We saw both styles of his PK shooting, where like his first one, he blasted it. Um, and then his second one in the penalties at the final, he kind of just knocked it in. You know,
Yeah.
just a little juke to the right, saw the goalie went for it, and just
Yep. Just
put it in
placed
there
it.
softly.
Yep.
Yeah, exactly. But no, I was confident Messi was going to make that PK for sure. And same thing as far as like who's your go-to guy for PK? How England has Harry Kane, they have Messi, and he did it. He got the job done, put him up one, and gave him that confidence to be like, hey, it's the ball's in our field, and let's run with it.
Yeah. I kind of felt like when was stepping up, I was like, if he makes this, Argentina's gonna win. Like no matter what, like however the rest of this
Hmm.
comes out, like Argentina will win this. If he misses, they're gonna lose. Like this is the game like decider right here, right now. And he made it, and like it just set the tone. Like I don't know if France was have been behind at all this tournament.
I don't think
I
so.
think they lost their last group
Oh,
stage match, right? Um, but that was like with their
yeah, they
B
lost their
team.
last one. Right, yeah, they were already through. And the only other time that I recall them uh being behind was in the first match against Australia, where Australia scored an early goal and then they came back and beat them like 4-2.
Yeah. So for the most part, they've been in the driver's seat of the tournament
Oh yeah,
of all their matches.
with
So
cruise
this was
control.
yeah. So this was definitely like new territory for them. Uh,
Yeah. This was for France, like you just said, it's just been, you know, Mbappe's in the driver's seat and it's been driving Miss Daisy.
Yeah.
It's
um,
it's been for them. I thought it was a very easy tournament. They
no,
they
I
looked that
agree.
strong.
Yeah, they did. They made it look easy, I should
Yeah,
say.
yeah.
But I agree. And the only thing that I was going to be disappointed with was if the game ended 1-0. I didn't want this to be, won by a PK, uh, you know, in normal or extra time. I wanted it
Right.
to
Yeah.
see some open play goals, and we got that with a
Did
super
we ever?
quick, super good counterattack by Argentina to get that second goal. All it took was 5 passes, and Di Maria, places one in beautifully. Uh,
Redeemed himself.
he did for missing that sitter early on.
Yeah.
He
I mean,
skied a
Messi set him
shot.
up beautiful, and he just Harry Kaned it right over.
Yeah, yeah. But
The biggest crybaby of the tournament.
Di Maria,
Yeah.
that guy had to be emotionally drained
Oh,
after that tournament.
absolutely. He was crying when they were winning. He was crying when they were losing.
Then they started
He's,
winning again. He was crying.
yeah.
Then they tied it. He started crying. Yeah, no, poor guy. Um, but man, that second goal, it for me it was just like this might be game. Like I don't see how
It
France get
seemed that
back in
way.
this. It did,
Like,
especially because I think shortly after France makes the two substitutions and takes Dembele and Giroud out. Uh,
which was totally wild.
yeah,
Totally wild. I mean, I guess it worked out, but it seemed out of the norm, especially for Giroud because he's been a scorer for this French team,
he
and
he's what I call a big game
look
hunter. Like he scores
right,
in big games, and that's
and
it.
I think he could have. I don't know. I think like if Gerard would have stayed in, he could have made a difference. Um,
Yeah,
but
maybe
it will never know, you know, because he got taken out before the first half even started.
finished.
I mean, finished.
Yeah, it was like
Um,
40th minute.
yeah, like 40 or 41st, and it's like, nobody does that unless the
That's
guy's injured.
that's when I was like, maybe it is rigged.
Yeah, and then and France just seem demoralized. They seem just mentally beaten. Uh, Going into the second half, you could just see it like there was just frustration.
Yeah, I mean, especially like,
They couldn't
uh,
hang on to the ball.
no, they could
They could
not.
barely get in Argentina's half.
Yeah, and one of the commentators, I forget who it was, they mentioned like a good point of like all tournament they saw, we've seen Mbappe playing with a big smile on his face, and he looked miserable out there those first 70
Yeah,
minutes. Like he
yeah,
was not having a good time.
no. It, you know what? It reminded me of that movie you like to watch, Longest Yard,
Yeah,
where like the offensive line gives up on him and they just like let the defense through and just let Sadler just get tackled.
yeah,
He goes, okay, then I'll just do it myself.
yep,
And that's kind of like what he did, you know. And
yeah,
Mbappe did his job out there. Like I
yeah.
know
I
it's a
mean,
team effort, but those guys lost 5-4, and Mbappe put all four in.
yeah. I was gonna say like he scored three and he scored his PK. Like he literally
Right.
did everything he was asked to do.
There's absolutely
Um,
like what do they else want him to do? Play goalie as well?
Can you also take all the kicks? Is that
Yeah.
allowed? And we'll get to that, but there was some great TikToks this morning of using some sounds of like Mbappe after the games. Like, I just want to tell y'all that loss was not my fault. Y'all are
Yeah.
trash. Like there was a good one where it was like it was like I don't know if you've seen that like paparazzi guy like saying good morning to Kanye.
Oh yeah, I've
There's one
seen
of those
that.
like Mbappe's teammates this morning, like, "Good morning, shut the fuck up." Like,
Yeah.
oh, so good. But
Yeah, so yeah, there was definitely I mean, that's the good thing about it. There's so many funny memes and TikToks about it.
Yeah.
Um, but just kind of also backtracking a little bit to those subs that came on. I feel like those two subs that came on for those guys didn't make too much of a difference as
No,
much as the other two subs that came on, which I want to say like one of them was like Coop or something like that, or Con. I
Condi?
don't recall their names,
I don't
but those
either.
two guys that came on the second half definitely helped out a lot.
And it was we said like you're down 2-0, might as well take a defender off and put an extra attacker on, and he did
Hmm.
that, and he put the one that Coleman,
Coleman,
yeah,
yeah,
he made the big difference. Like
yes, yeah, yeah,
that's the only guy that Mbappe can't be mad at.
right,
I would say, but
yeah. That equalizer was probably like a glimpse of how the whole French team had played the tournament, where they just like took the
just,
ball and
yeah, out of nowhere score a
did
goal.
whatever. Yeah, and just yeah, I don't know where score a goal like you said. And what a goal that was. I
Yeah,
mean, for how old is he? 23?
23
23-year-old to one time volley it in front of hundreds of thousands of people on the final like
for
it's a
a
lot
tie
of
like a
mental.
tying goal. Like
Mhm.
what's
Yeah,
at
against one
stake.
of the greatest keepers of this tournament so far.
Yeah,
Uh, there's just so many things that go into it, but he just made it look easy.
he did. I mean,
Yeah.
that alone just shows you he's not an overrated guy. Like he has the talent.
No, no, yeah. And
Well, let's backtrack a little bit. So, like we said, Argentina had been dominating for
right.
all of the game, pretty much leading up to that PK. And to give you a lot of credit, you said, this might be where Argentina lose it. This PK, that's all France need to come back, like to get that confidence back and go get another. And Argentina make a silly mistake. They get the PK,
Yeah.
and Mbappe buries that thing. Man, that dude was. He's like, go ahead, pick the right side. I don't care. Like I'm gonna blast this thing by you. And like you said, Martinez, who has blocked a lot of PKs leading up to this tournament or in during this tournament, he guesses right. He gets a hand on it, but it did not matter.
No.
Mbappe freaking broke the power bar to get that thing in the back of the net.
Um Mbappe went to the left side with all three of his PKs, and Martinez went to the left side two out of the three times. And both times he guessed that right. He got a hand on it, but he could not stop it. That's how powerful of a shot that guy has.
Yeah. And then one thing I do want to talk about Martinez, I like the shithousery that he does, like the mental
Oh,
games, the taunting
I
he
love
does.
that. Yeah.
But one thing I thought was a little bit uh
Odd.
unnecessary was that like it was footage in the locker room of them celebrating. I think he had like said something about Mbappe or like was making fun of him or something, like some kind of trash talk about the guy. But I was like, man, I mean, you were in a one-on-one with him 4 times and he beat you all 4 times. Like I
Oh
understand
yeah.
you won, but it was like it wasn't because of that guy. Like that guy did what he was supposed to do. I would not trash talk him right now. Uh,
No. That's the one guy I wouldn't talk trash about at all. Like
yeah,
ever. Like they're just feeling him.
yeah.
Um
But I thought that was interesting. But yeah, like
yeah.
and then again, like to give you the credit, like France got that PK, and 90 seconds later, you saw Argentina was playing like very comfortably, like not with that same like pace or aggression. Like they were, and
Right.
France was starting to pick it up as well. Like you could see they were all of a sudden starting to win every second ball and not let
Yep.
Argentina keep it. And out of all guys to make a mistake, it was Messi slowly dribbling out of his own half when Coleman just steals it right out of him. Uh,
Clean too.
Clean. Messi does not track back. Two, three
Nah.
passes, and boom, you lead to that second beautiful goal by Mbappe, where he just first times it past Martinez. And the camera just pans over to Di Maria, who is just covering his face, crying. Oh, poor guy.
All the time
Yeah,
crying.
but man, I
No,
mean, at that point, I was like, this could end 3-2 easily,
yeah,
and we almost got it.
yeah. It was after that, that equalizer, then it was on again, and it was like they were, you know, just going at it, rough playing. Um, I that I'm still mesmerized by that volley that Mbappe had.
Yeah,
Uh, and they're gonna go like I was only saying that France only needed a little bit, like because like I also noticed that Argentina was, like you said earlier, like they were starting to lose the ball a lot and they weren't getting into France's third um, as much. Like if Argentina could have made it 3-0, then that would have been in. I think that would have been like demoralizing enough to the French players um, for them to like not go as hard. Um, because to come back from a 3-0 lead is very tough in soccer. To come back from like 2-0, it's hard, but um, it's not impossible. Because like once you get one goal in, it's like, oh, we're only one away from tying it, and then we got extra time and penalties, and then you're just scraping to survive, right?
yeah,
So that's the only reason I was saying. I was like, they just need one goal to like really see, so they can really see how close they are,
yeah,
and it happened. Um, yeah, and they got tied up, and then Messi put in the third. That was another. Well, we went to
yeah. So
extra
we
time,
um didn't. Yeah, so
and then
the game ends at 90 minutes. We go to extra time, and I mean, it could have been anyone's game. You could see it going either way at the start of extra
yeah,
time, and yeah, and it's funny that we've been saying like this is probably the best World Cup final ever, blah blah blah. I think when our kids get older, or even like grandkids or whatever, like hear that and watch this game. I think like after the first half, they're gonna look up at people and be like, "Are you sure? Like this doesn't seem like that crazy." You're like, "Oh, we're
like
getting
be
there.
patient,
Yeah, like
patient.
it's building up."
It's not even to the good part yet.
Yeah. Um.
Yeah,
So
I
then
mean,
we,
just when you think it can't get any better, it does,
yeah, yeah.
and then when it gets better, it gets even better
Like
after that.
all the chaos you'd want in a match, like we got.
Yeah,
Um.
there's gonna be movies about this match.
Oh yeah, yeah, definitely. Um. So yeah, so then we start extra time, and to Argentina's credit, it did not take them long to get that lead back. Uh,
No,
and of course, it had to be Messi, right? Had to be
had to be
Messi,
Messi.
and that was the other thing. I was happy he got it because I didn't want his goal in the final
Right.
to be a PK.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
just
Same
doesn't
here.
quite have the same flavor than
Right.
actually scoring like a goal. And man, what a goal! Like just what a build up play. Like what a
Yeah.
finish.
And he's
What was
had
that
good goals
French
throughout the
defender?
tournament.
Yes, he has. Yeah,
But like you said, I just didn't want it to be like his only goal penalty.
yeah, yeah.
Because even they're hard to make, it's still like, still a penalty. But um no, yeah, that French defender, I don't know. I mean, I don't know what was going on with him.
'Cause he was like in the back of the net.
Well,
So like
yeah, I
when he
think he was
volleyed
trying
it
to
out,
like
it was
stop.
like clearly in. It's like, dude, you're in
Yeah.
the back of the net. Like that ball definitely is in.
Well, it was clearly in, but like some even the commentators were like, "Oh, they're gonna review it." And I was like, "Review what?" I was like, "That thing was in."
Yeah.
And then some were saying offsides. I'm like, "There's no offsides. Like, look where the defenders are.
Yeah, there
They're
was
at the
two
back
defenders
line.
out, yeah, like
They took the
past the
offsides
goal.
away." Yeah, and they were just like, "Nope, yeah, it's a goal." I was like, "Yeah, it's. I mean, it was hard to believe because it's an extra time." You're thinking, "Oh,
So
they're gonna
early in
win it
extra
in extra
time.
time." Yeah, they just gotta hold off. And then another freaking penalty.
And this was the handball one, right?
Yeah, yeah. Well, elbow. This
It counts.
no. If it's from the elbow up, it doesn't count. You can't. You don't have no control of that.
Nah, that definitely counts.
No,
Um,
yeah.
But I
They
mean, like you said, like
did.
just when you
But,
thought it couldn't get
France had
better.
a handball and they didn't call it.
You
You
know what?
remember
I
that one?
don't remember seeing that like live at the time, but I did see the clip of it. Yeah, but
So,
yeah, they
like,
didn't
it
call it.
hit his hand and that thing, like, whipped around. I
Yeah.
was like, "That was that was the most clear handball I've ever seen." They didn't call it. And then they called the other one.
You missed
So,
some.
yeah,
Yeah.
Mbappe put it left again, and, goalkeeper went right, and then it's on to PKs.
Yep. Yep. And like you said, like when you thought you couldn't get any better, especially like with Argentina scoring so early in extra time,
Right.
you're like again like, oh, it's over. And then they get that PK and you're like, it's back on, baby.
Yeah.
Let's go. Like anything can happen. And
Poor Di Maria.
no, that
He's
dude was
just
in shambles. Like
he had happy tears and sad tears, and then I don't know where the he's probably dehydrated.
he felt it all that night. But man, it was just like I mean, not when it's not Chelsea and it's not Charlotte FC, like I just love chaos in a match, and we just got it.
Oh, yeah. 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 The back and forth, even in the extra time, because sometimes, extra times, they just get played out, and then it goes to penalties.
Yeah,
But even in the extra time, there was greatness.
yeah. And then we get to the penalties, and I was actually pretty surprised that Messi and Mbappe went first. Were you surprised by that at all, or were you like maybe it's just get your
A
best
little
guys to
bit,
go first?
um, yeah, a little bit. Usually, from what I recall, is you save, like, your best guy towards, like, the middle or the end, um, but I guess not. I don't know, it's just, Messi went first. No, was it no, Mbappe went first? I can't remember now.
Can't remember
I think M
either.
I think
uh,
Mbappe went first. Yeah, I think Mbappe went first. I don't know, you'd have to look, but they both made it, and
yeah.
I thought just like I thought Mbappe was not gonna make that 3rd penalty. I
No,
was just like, he's
I
made
knew
2,
neither
he
of them were
volleyed
gonna
1.
miss.
I was like, there's a good chance that maybe he, like, overthinks it and hits post or, like, goes over maybe. Um, I knew the keeper probably wasn't gonna stop him. He hadn't been able to stop him the whole match. Um, but I was like, maybe he just gets in his head, but he just put it in the same spot. He said, "It's been working, so why not?"
Yeah.
And then Messi, I sent you a TikTok of a side by side comparison of a FIFA World Cup match penalty of Diego Maradona and Messi, and they hit like the same style PK to the same side.
Jeez.
I don't know if you
I
saw
haven't
that or
seen
not.
it, but
Oh
that's
no,
no, but I
that's probably
mean
because I send you like 20 TikToks a day, but it's in there somewhere. But I saw that today, and I was like, oh wow, that's pretty cool. Like I don't know if he meant to do that on purpose or what, but it's like same, um, same side, same pace, different celebration.
yeah.
Um, but still, I was like, that's pretty neat. And
I,
I
I,
don't know if he meant to do that on or not, but
yeah.
that's how it went.
I pulled up the highlights. So France did go first, and I think the other
Oh, okay.
interesting thing too is like we've said, like Mbappe chose to go to the same side and just hit it with power, and Martinez gets a hand on it again and still can't
Mm-hmm.
stop it. And it's an
No.
interesting contrast to then like what Messi does after, which is like just do a little shimmy, sends Loris the wrong way, and then he just slides it in there
Yeah.
like you said, like he just places it like not a lot of power, just like control, like and it's just kind of interesting of like
He
their
beat
play
that keeper
styles.
before he even hit the ball.
Yeah, absolutely.
I
Um,
mean, with the slightest of jukes that only a player of his stature can do because of who he is, that the goalie or defenders fall for it because they're so in their heads of how am I going to stop this guy that
yeah,
nobody has been able to stop for years.
yeah,
And just a slight move to the right, keeper goes for it, passes it to the left, and that's it.
And then I think you get to the, Messi and Mbappe, they finish their PKs. They've done everything they can for their country. It's out of their control now,
Mhm.
and they've had to just rely on their teammates, which is kind of an interesting way for the this to end, right? Because I guess both storylines have been like these two teams being carried, one by Messi, one by Mbappe, and
Right.
right at the gate, like right at the start of the PKs, they're done.
Yeah,
And now you
and what a
get
way for them to end it too, like, it just kinda describes of how they are as, like, players and where they are in their careers where, like, Mbappe is still young and just starting off, and he hits it with the power and placement and confidence, and Messi is towards the end of it, and he just hits it with the grace and knowledge of where to place it. It's,
yeah,
it was just so much to take in from that.
yeah, yeah. And then you get to the guy who definitely has earned his place as the starting keeper for
Yeah.
Argentina, Martinez. We saw him do this against Netherlands. The guy is built for PKs. Like he thrives in that chaos, that
He
one-on-one
thrives in the candy
situation.
store.
He just mental warfare uh on the kicker. And
Yeah.
Coman, he's had a big game coming off the bench and just gets blocked, just
Mhm.
totally blocked, and you're just like, oh no, like is this it, or maybe not? Oh no, maybe it's like, oh yes, but it was just like, is this how it's gonna go? Like only Mbappe makes one, and the guy, just the whole like mental game he plays with the kicker, which is something I don't think we really saw the French keeper do. At least it wasn't highlighted. Like he has the
Right.
huge celebration, jumping up in the air like he just scored a goal. Uh,
Right.
and then
Oh,
we go.
it's a big save.
It's a huge save, and we go back to Argentina. Paulo Diablo, who came in right at the end of extra time for the to take a penalty, basically. That was the
Mhm.
whole strategy of his substitution. Buries it down the middle, but the
Ballsy.
yeah, yeah. And then to go back to Martinez, like I don't know if everyone saw it on the broadcast because you didn't really get to see it. They mentioned it more by the commentating team. Is he went and picked up the ball out of the back of the net and held on to it and waited
Right.
for the French PK guy to come, and as he was coming to ask for the ball, just threw it like to the side,
Yeah.
out to the box, and made him go get it. So it's again like just this mental game of just like frustrating you, like getting you flustered up, like at a time where you need to be your most calm,
Mhm.
and just made the guy completely miss. Like didn't even put it on frame, and I mean that's when it was sealed, right? Like after that missed kick.
I think that if Argentina would have missed any, then maybe France had a chance, but I think also at the same time they were closer to it. It was more reachable, and it was like, I think it's gonna happen because when I went to PKs, I'm like, I don't know. I don't know. Um, but after that first save and then that post hit, I was like, yeah, I think Argentina's gonna win it. Like, it looks like
S-
Argentina's gonna win it.
Especially
Um,
like when like the goalie makes you miss because he's just flustered you so much that
mhm.
you don't even put it on frame, and then he gets up and just does a little shoulder roll celebration like right in your face, like in the
I mean,
biggest
it worked,
moment.
right?
Totally. I mean, that had to have get into everyone's head. Like, that's I mean, just think about that, right? Like if you're the French guy's teammate, and I don't want to butcher his last name, that's why I'm not saying it. But let's say you're the guy who has to kick after him, right? So you just saw your teammate miss, you're now down by 2, and you just see this goalie get up and do this ridiculous celebration. You have to sit there while Argentina go make another PK, and then you have to go through the whole process as well. Like it's gotta just wear you out. Like you've got to just be thinking the whole time that Argentina's taking their third PK of like, I'm gonna blast it by this guy. Like, You know what I mean? Like it's just stewing with you
Yeah,
that whole time.
yeah, he's like, "Imma show you," and then he just screwed it up. He got in his head, and that's like we said, it penalties, it's you got a 50-50 shot of making it, but it's also, like, a lot of mental games, not only did you trying to psych out the keeper or the keeper psyching you out, but it's also, like, you gotta keep your mental composure, and,
Yep.
I think he went too far left. I was gonna ask you this, you think Mbappe, after he made all his left, told Coleman, it's like, "Go left." You think
I
he told both those guys to go left? Like, he told Coleman, "Go left," and then he probably told the other guy, "Alright, he blocked the left, he's probably gonna go left again," like, because
n-
both of them it was 3 left shots in a row.
yeah. I don't know. I because I think like at that level, I think you just have your own routine. But maybe, I mean, maybe when a guy like
I can
Mbappe
see
tells you,
Mbappe being that type of guy, I'd be like, "Hey, go left."
yeah, and I mean, he
A
just scored three
and
goals in a
him
World
having that
Cup
statue.
final. Like,
Right,
are you
exactly,
not
he's the
gonna
one that's, like
listen?
exactly, he's the one that's kept the team alive, he's the one that has basically he did it for your last World Cup, he's doing it again, like, why would you not listen to him? And
Because what if you
he
go
is
right and it gets
Mbappe.
blocked?
Exactly,
Yeah,
uh-huh, so, I don't know, I've been thinking about that, I'm like, I wonder if he told those guys to go left.
yeah, that's a good
He
question. I didn't even think about that.
like, I wonder if he just brought his own and if he did, then he brought his own demise,
Yeah,
but,
that's incredibly interesting. I would love to if a reporter could ask Coleman and the other guy. I don't want to butcher his last name. Ask them that, like, hey, did Mbappe have any influence on you of where to go? You know, why did you guys
yeah.
both go left? Like, yeah, I don't know. That's super interesting. Now, and then the last thing I want to talk about before we get into the celebration, you know, it's hard to be critical of a goalkeeper in a PK shootout, but after the performance you saw Martinez put up of basically forcing France to miss two, are
Right,
you disappointed at all in Loris's performance in that
uh,
shootout?
and well, and if you compare both goalkeepers, yeah, he didn't even stop one.
Yeah. But I mean, like, do you wish you would have sseen him try some of the
He didn't
similar
stop one, he didn't make
stuff
a
or
miss. Right, I didn't see too many and on the first, um, block that Martinez had, if you go back and look at the replay, he's kinda crowding that left side a little bit already, like, he's almost expecting it. He's not fully centered in between the 2 posts, he's already a little bit to the left,
yeah.
which is why he was, like, able to get there already or so easily. I don't know if so easily is the right way to put it, but, like, I saw that when they went to take it, and I was like, "He's kinda crowding the left side a little bit already," so, um, but no, yeah, the French goalkeeper, I wasn't totally impressed with him, not to take away with any of his performance, but, you know, it was night and day of, between those guys. Because even before the PKs, Martinez had a heck of a save on
In late
in
extra
the
time.
in the late extra time, where French, football team could have, won it.
Yeah. Yeah, he had
So,
some big saves even before the
yeah,
PK shootout.
mhm. Even before this match, I think another one that comes to mind is the Australia game towards the
Yes.
end.
Yep.
Um, I mean, Australia could have tied it up and went to PKs, and who knows what happens.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, huge performance by him. And again, it's just like
mhm.
one of those things of these goalkeepers just stepping up huge.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah,
but
yeah. I thought he did really well.
yeah, Argentina make all their PKs. They win the game. They win the World Cup final.
Yeah.
It's the fairy tale ending for Messi. Um, you know, talk me through like your feelings of like seeing him lift that trophy because just to be frank, like this is the only time I've after a final like stayed and watched like to see the trophy ceremony and like see someone lift it
Mhm.
up because like it's just we've been following this guy's career for 13
Ever.
years now, man. Like it's
Right, since
just
PS2 times.
yeah, when he was just like a 19-year-old and you're like, why is this 19-year-old starting for Barcelona?
Exactly. Yeah.
And now look at where
Why
we
is
are.
Ronaldinho saying he's gonna be one of the greatest? When I was
Yeah.
like, "Nah, dude, like, you're the greatest."
That's you, man.
Yeah. That's
That
crazy how they saw that.
Yeah. It is kind of funny how for a lot of people like, the Messi Ronaldo thing, it's the end of their like favorite player ever
Oh, yeah.
towards it.
Yeah.
And for me it's like, man, that happened like 6 years ago. I saw Ronaldinho leave the game such a long time ago.
That's yeah, for, like, when Ronaldo left, because Ronaldo I used to be a big fan of him, but I was just getting into soccer where I was, like, following players. Um, so I caught like the very late stages of his career, and then Ronaldinho came up, and I think both you and I, like were just amazed by what type of like how he changed the game basically, and the
Yeah.
style of play, and then Ronaldo Messi popped out of nowhere like some scientific lab experiment, uh, and then like you kind of had to choose a side.
Yeah.
I mean, I know for you, you were more Ronaldinho, but like when I started like watching Ronaldo, I was like, "Geez, Louise, like this guy is even better." And then then they started putting up the crazy stats, the trophies,
Yeah.
um, the world stages, things like that. And it's like you had to choose a team.
They
I
just
don't know of one soccer fan that was like, "Oh no, I like them both. I think they're good, both good players." I was like, "No, it's like
yeah.
you're you're
Pick
either
a
Messi or
side.
Ronaldo." Yeah,
Yeah.
this is yeah.
No, I mean they
This
blew
ain't
up bigger
can
like anything ever
anybody,
before. Like
right?
just crazy.
Yeah,
Uh
and this just kind of puts I would say the nail in the coffin for it for sure, though.
yeah. And so to kind of just go back, so like what were you feeling when you saw him lift that trophy?
So I went back and I watched the whole ceremony on YouTube when I got to the house later on. I was pretty happy when he lifted the trophy. Um, I was kind of relieved. I was like, fine, like I was just happy for the guy,
Yeah.
honestly. I just felt like an enormous amount of joy for him and what it meant to him. Um, and not only what it meant to him, but like the caliber of player that he is, his style of play, and how he came up with just all odds against them. Um, type of backstory, being the smallest kid, nobody believed in him, and he just proved everybody wrong. He just proved everybody wrong, not only in club soccer, but in international when they compared him to Maradona and like how he was not, um, excuse me, was not doing anything with the international team. And look what he's done in the past 3 years.
Yeah, Copa America, now World Cup. Just
Finalistas, I think, was the other cup. He's got 3 cups and with the international team and
yeah.
so far. So um, and he's another player that like although I am pro Ronaldo, I don't like dislike Messi because Messi's not he's not like he brings a he's very graceful when he plays.
Yeah.
He doesn't dive. He's not one to like really get angry. Um whereas Ronaldo like, you know, he'll dive. I'll admit that and he'll get in people's faces. But that's also kind of like why I like him because
yeah.
I mean, although I won't dive, I am more aggressive. So like I can relate to it a little more. And I just like this style of play more. You know, he's got those long sniper shots and that quickness to him. Um, but that's just for another time. Um,
Yeah.
but no, I was happy when he lifted that trophy, and I didn't really care too much about how the other Argentinians acted or what they did.
No, I do appreciate like them giving him like his props, like because I kind of would have
Yeah.
been annoyed if they were like, no, it's not about one guy, like it's a team effort. They were very upfront of like, no, we are here because of Messi. We're doing this for him.
Hmm.
Like it's all about like it was almost more like we're gonna win this for Messi more than it was like we're
Right.
gonna win this for Argentina. And I
Yeah.
actually really loved that because like that, you know, all the other times it's kind of been like, and Messi is like this great player, but like he is just in such a trash international team. Like,
Hmm.
just
Yeah.
like, and they're blaming him. They're like, he doesn't do anything for Argentina, blah blah. And it's like you guys aren't giving him the help. Like,
Yeah.
and
Yeah. I mean, like that's why he can do it at the clubs, because he's got teams built around him and things like that. And that's why
yeah,
Mbappe can kind of do it so easily with the French league because it's like he's got a lot of good French help.
yeah,
And European soccer uh, is a little better than South American soccer.
yeah.
Um, I mean, that's where everybody goes to play. That's where everybody wants to play.
It's the most competitive like you're gonna get, and that's gonna make you
Right,
better. Like the harder people you play up against, like the better you're gonna get.
right, exactly. Um, so to see that like he finally did it, um, I was happy for that. And that was another thing too, like what you just said. That was a clear difference to me in this tournament. As far as like if you compare Portugal and Argentina, Ronaldo and Messi, like Argentina was all about getting it done no matter what for Messi, whereas Portugal didn't seem like that type of team. They were just like, we want to do it, but it's you know
They kind of went
they
the
want
other way
they,
of like, it's not about this one guy. It is like we're all equals
right, yeah,
here, blah blah blah. And it's like, well, you're kind of
exactly.
not. Like,
Yeah, it's like you probably wouldn't be this far if it wasn't for Ronaldo.
yeah, I
Like he
agree with
helped
that.
a lot of that qualifying. He helped someone in that group stage, and besides Luis Figo, I mean Ronaldo put Portugal on the map.
Yeah, yeah. That was something I was just about to say. Is like if Ronaldo doesn't blow up the way he does, maybe scouts don't go and look at the Portuguese league as often, right? To look
Right,
for that
exactly.
next quality player.
Like there is no Nani without Ronaldo.
Yeah,
There's it just doesn't happen.
yeah,
And I just thought that's why I didn't like. That's what kind of put a sour taste in my mouth and how the Portuguese team or management handled the whole Ronaldo situation.
yeah. So
But
last question: does this settle the greatest of all time debate for you?
yeah, I mean, I think we can all be grown-ups about it, right? I mean, he's got the cup, and that was the one thing that was separating them both. The one trophy that neither of them have, and now he has it. There's no asterisk beside this win. It was fair and square. Um, they like both Messi and Mbappe did absolutely everything. Um, and then the end, it was the better team won.
Yeah, yeah. I really do love how that is how it turned out. Right? It was like they gave it their all. They did everything they were asked to, and then it was just up to the teammates.
Right.
And
Yeah.
Argentina stepped up, took care of business. Uh, and
Yep.
I agree. Like I think if Ronaldo fanboys are honest with themselves, like this does settle it. Like he is the best that's ever done it. Like not only has he won it, he's also got second place. Uh,
Yeah.
he's the only player in World Cup history to win the Golden Ball twice. So he's been the best player of the tournament twice. Like that's historic. came second place in the Golden Boot this year. Like, so
Right.
I think this World Cup performance alone like cements it.
Yeah, and I think he won the most the valuable player of the match awards as well.
Yeah.
So
So man,
I think it settles it. I think the dust is settled, and we see Messi still standing at the top. Well deserved. I have heard rumors that he plans to continue with the international team as a champion. I think he's absolutely crazy and just addicted to like trying to collect trophies or I don't know. I think this
just as
was
a
like,
sport, I mean, I can't
yeah, I
imagine
think
how
he
much he
just needs to
loves
retire.
competing.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. I mean,
I think
he's
that's like the movie
like, what else do
ending.
you want to win?
Yeah, exactly. I wish he would go out like on the because you never really see athletes like do that like go out at the top.
Right.
And it's probably because like they wouldn't be where they're at without that competitive urge or tick or desire to keep pushing. So like of course it doesn't
Right.
ever end that way. But man, for him it's like if his life was a video game, he has literally accomplished every accomplishment. He's
He's
won everything.
100% platinum.
Yeah, like he's won everything. Like
Yeah.
literally everything. Um
Yeah.
so
It like honest I feel like from here it's kind of downhill. Like what else can you do? Like same thing when I feel like when Ronaldo lost that whole contract thing with Manchester United, I'm like that's it. Like just leave it. Like just retire already.
yeah.
Just step aside and let some of these younger guys take over and put your boots up. I mean, I get you still want to play, but I've seen a lot of clips of like cars. You seen those where like Lightning McQueen is getting passed by all the newer
Yes.
models.
Yeah.
He's trying to keep. It's like in a sense, it's true.
Yeah.
You know, he's not as fast as he once was. Um,
The game has changed.
the game has changed. Um, like in the way it's played, but also like it's a lot more technical now, and before used to be a lot of flair. Um, yeah, it's a new generation. You just gotta just step back and reap your rewards. He's
Yeah.
earned it.
I will say
And
like
spend
the
time with your family.
yeah. I will say I guess like the big difference here between Messi and Ronaldo now is like if Messi goes back to PSG and kind of starts like going downhill, maybe only 10 goals a season, and they don't ever like even if he stays at PSG and they never win another league or another Champions League, like I don't really care, man. Like it's
Right.
kind of all
No.
like free gravy, Like it's just like because let's say he goes and wins another league and Champions League, it's like bonus. It's like dang, he did it again. But if he
Yeah,
doesn't, it's
but
like man, who cares? He won the World Cup. Like who cares? Like he's just out there
yeah,
having fun now.
if he goes out, if he stays and he does it and he succeeds, which I think will be hard because you don't see that a lot. Um, what I don't want to happen is like what the media usually does is they'll start comparing and contrasting to what he did before to what he's doing now, and it's like you can't put those two side by side. It was like you know Messi from 2022, and he's not performing like he is now, and they just start trash talking him and tarnishing the image. That's why I think he just needs to retire while he's like at the top,
Yeah.
um, and just leave it be. You don't want it to be like going over to like NFL side where Tom Brady he left the Patriots, went to the Bucks, won the Super Bowl, and it was like okay, like retired. You switch teams, you proved you're the best with two teams, and then he's like coming out of retirement, and now all you hear is like he doesn't have it in him, he's losing, blah blah blah. It's just like nothing but negative reports, and you feel like, or I feel like his image is kind of tarnished by it, like
Yeah.
you know. And I just don't want that to happen to Messi, because it's
Yeah,
already happened to Ronaldo. Like I
I,
saw it already with Ronaldo.
it's it's like I don't even really want him to come to the MLS for that either.
No, I
Like,
don't. I mean, I would love to see him play stateside. I would definitely like save up some money, take some time off, and take a road trip, or if they come to Charlotte, go to the game, um, just to watch him because he's such a great player. But I don't want to see him like take that path.
yeah, because like
Not at
imagine
all.
he joins Miami and they finish like last.
Right.
It's like
And
I don't
it's
want to see
like,
him get through that.
how do you go from the highest of highs to the lowest?
Yeah,
Not to say that MLS is lowest, but it's not the World Cup international play.
yeah. It's
It's
not
not
the
La
ending you could
Liga.
have had.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but
Um, I hope he doesn't though. He's been talking. There's talks of him coming to Miami, and there's talks of him staying with the international team. And I just hope for his sakes he doesn't,
yeah, I
because
hope he just ends on a high. Like I definitely
yeah,
don't want to see him go the Ronaldo way.
yeah, exactly. It's just
The only thing I would accept is like him going back to Barcelona.
yeah, yep, exactly. Go back to Barcelona. Um, I don't know
Maybe
what you would do.
try to win one
Maybe
more
just
league and then call it
yeah,
quits.
but just go back to retire, just so
Yeah,
they can hang that jersey up.
yeah, yeah. Um, so try to yeah. So wrap things up. Like again, him winning, lifting that trophy up, probably one of the most like things that I've seen on TV that's made me like feel some kind of way, like happy, like joyful.
Yeah,
And
yeah, I
again,
truly
it's
felt
just
happy watching that.
yeah, and again, like his career is just like a modern day like epic Greek story of just this nobody character coming out and just like conquering the world and like beating all the giants to do it, and just man, what an ending to a very historic tournament. I think this World Cup, for good reasons and bad reasons, is going to be remembered for like a very, very long time. But to get the ending that we got was like truly, truly special.
Yeah, yeah, one of the best so far.
Yep, yep. All right, that's gonna wrap it up for this episode. We are probably gonna take another break until the season kicks off again in about believe it or not, about 2.5 months. MLS season should be kicking off. The schedule should actually be coming out tomorrow, December 20th, I believe. So we will at least have that to take in. But if you want to keep in touch with us before the next episode, over this next couple of months, you can follow us on Instagram or Twitter at offsides_CLTFC, or you can subscribe to our YouTube channel and leave a comment about what you're looking forward to, what your favorite memory of this World Cup was, and we will check that out and try to interact with you guys there. That's Offsides, the podcast. I believe that's our YouTube channel name. But you can find us there as well. But until
Mbappe
next
out there
time.
somewhere.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Until next time, guys, we will catch you guys once Charlotte FC is back and kicking off as we push for hopefully a playoff run this year.
Yeah,
All
maybe
right.
we'll get Messi in our team.
Yeah. All right. We'll catch you guys next time. See ya.
Bye.